We are live. There you go. Okay, so today, factoring by grouping. So if you see four terms, oh yeah, 3, 4. Thank you. You guys are here to always help me keep me in track. Thank you. I appreciate that. 4 terms.
By grouping.
We're going to do it by grouping. Now, grouping simply means that we're going to pair them up. Pair them up. Okay? So what I mean by that, and I'll let you catch up. So I see in this case 4 terms, okay, and they're all different. I cannot combine them, but what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to pair them up. So I'm going to put these 2 together and these 2 together, okay? So pair them up. You could put any 2 together. It's easier to say kick the first 2. Then what we're going to do is we're going to common factor both pairs, okay? We're going to common factor both pairs, all right? So I'm going to look at my first set. I'm actually going to completely ignore the second set, okay? Just look at the first set only, okay? And I'm going to look at it and say, okay, common factoring. Well, what do they have in common? Well, they've got a multiple of 3, right? And they have an x squared in common, okay? Just between those two. That's all I'm doing, pairing them up. Okay, just look at the first 2 only, okay? What they have in common is a multiple of 3 and an x squared. So if I take out or common factor out the 3x squared, what would be left here is just an x minus a 4. Okay, now again, if you have a hard time seeing that, say, okay, well, 3x squared times x, that makes it 3x cubed. 3x times 4, that makes it 12x squared. Okay, thumbs up. Now let's look at the second group. Okay, we did the first group, so we can ignore the first group. Let's look at the second group. What do they have in common? A multiple of 2. You guys see that? So we take out a positive 2, and that positive 2 we're going to think of as a plus sign. Okay, so I took out a positive 2, I think of it as a plus sign, and I'm going to factor out the 2, and I would have an x minus 4. Now, these are special types of problems, and they will work on purpose because the people who wrote the book make sure they work, okay? Right? Because a lot of times this doesn't work at all, right? It's very unique problems. So what we do see is this. And this should happen. Again, it's only because they're very unique problems that somebody made up for us, okay? So now what do you see that they have in common? X minus 4. So we're going to common factor again. Factor again. And they have a parentheses x minus 4 in common. Now, please listen carefully. I want you to watch this, okay? If I had, I want you to watch this. A times, oh no, I don't want to do that. A squared b plus AB. Just watch. Don't write this down. Just watch. So when I take out the A and the B, right? With me? You can say, well, Mr. Davies, there's 2 B's here. Mr. Davies, there's 2 B's here, right? But this B here represents, I'm going to put it back in both, right? You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
So when I take out the x minus 4, this x minus 4 is going to represent both of these, right? Now if that confuses kids, it's all right. I tell you, if that confuses you, once you pull out the x minus 4, you can, if this helps you, cross it out, okay? Does that help you if you just cross it out?
Yeah.
So then what's left over? 3x squared plus 2. And that is the answer. If we were to multiply this all the way through, if we were, no, we're not going to, but if we're going to go ahead and multiply it all the way through, we would get the original question. This times this, this times this, this times this, this times this, we would get the original question. But we don't want to do that. We want to actually undo it or factor, okay? All right, we need more practice. Let's do the second example, okay? Same idea. Pair them up. I'm going to put these 2 together and these 2 together. So pair them up, okay? So when I pair them up, I'm going to ignore the second pair at first. I'm going to say, okay, what do these first 2 pair have in common? Well, they've got a 2 and an A in common, right? The first 2, okay? All they have is just a 2 and an A. So if I take out the 2A, I'd have an A plus 4B. Now again, if you have a hard time seeing that, you can multiply it back through. 2A times A, 2A squared, 2A times 4B is an 8AB. How am I doing? Okay. Now, let's look at the second set. So the second set, they have a negative. Do you see they also have a negative in common? I'm going to take out the negative and think of it as a subtraction. Okay? I'm going to take out the negative and think of it as a subtraction. Okay? Well, what else do they have in common?
3.
A 3. So they really, in a sense, have a negative 3 in common, right? So if I take out the 3, okay, if you take out the 3, I'd have just an A. Now, wait a minute. I took out the negative. Wait a minute. I took out the negative. Hold on. I took out the negative. That's going to make this a positive 4B. And if that bothers you, just multiply it back through, and I think you'll see this times this does give me a negative 12B, okay? All right, again, like people that write these make very special problems. They only work this way, so hopefully you get to the point where you see that these two have something in common, okay? If you don't, you can't go any further, but we do. So what do these two terms have in common? Parentheses, A plus B. And if you want to cross it out because you took it out, go ahead. 4B, thank you, Dave. 4B. And what's left over, what remaining is the 2A minus 3.
Wait, so if they're the same, you just put formulas?
Yes. Yes. And that goes back to such a good question. It really is a good question. Let me do this again. Let me do an A, B plus 3A. Okay. Let me do this first, okay? So what do these two have in common? How many A's do you see? Right? But if I take out an A, this 1A really represents both, doesn't it? Right? And so this X minus 4,
Oh.
see how it works? Yeah, it's kind of tricky, isn't it? And so I say, Penelope, for kids that have a hard time with that, just cross it out and bring out the one to represent both, okay? Is that helpful? It's a little hard. It's a little confusing, isn't it? Okay? All right, now let's take a look at number 3. Same thing. Let's keep practicing. So, now in this case, I might rewrite. You don't have to, but I might rewrite it. When I look at these, I might just put these two together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you don't have to rewrite, but these two seem to go together because they're going to have an x squared in common. And these two might have in common because they both have negatives and a multiple of none, right? So we'll rewrite it. You don't have to. It's just helpful. Yeah, Anthony?
When you rewrite it, it would be in what do you call it? Like
Standard form.
Standard form.
Good man. We're going to talk about that again tomorrow because that's part of our Chapter 2 test. And you already know that, don't you? Totally agree. So if I rewrite, I'll go 2x cubed plus 3x squared minus 18x minus 27 because now it's in standard form. Right, Anthony? Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, now, I like it in standard form. It makes it easier to factor, so I'm going to, again, by grouping, so put these two together. Okay. And I will see that the first two, this pair has an x squared in common. I'll have left a 2x plus 3. Do you see if I take out an x squared, I have a 2x plus 3? And here I'm going to take out the negative because they both have a negative 9 in common. If I take a 9 out of 18, I'll be left with a 2 or a 2x. I take a 9 out of a 27, I get a 3, but it's a positive 3 because I took the negative out, okay? So now it gets pretty easy. What do these two have in common? They have a 2x plus 3. And if I common factor out the 2x plus 3, what's left over? All right, now, this one's kind of one of those hard problems because there's more. I can do more. Everybody see what I can? There's more. I can do something more. What do you see?
With the x squared minus 9, you can make it x, and then minus 3.
Yes, yes. So this can be done again. You guys see how this can be done again? Very good. So we can factor this one more time, and my full answer would be a 2x plus 3, and I'll factor this one again to an x plus 3, x minus 3. So I factored this one again into that, okay? Nice job, Anthony. Okay, now, number 4. If we're going to solve for x, we need it to equal 0. It has to equal 0. When you see the equal sign,
Wait, but plus 3 and minus 3 would cancel.
yeah, absolutely, totally right. Yep. But when we multiply, yeah, okay, let me say, so when you multiply, you get the negative 9. You okay with that? And you're right, they do cancel. What's the invisible middle term? There's a 0x here. There's a 0x, because you're right, they do cancel. You're totally right. Okay, you ready, Penelope? I got a 3x and a negative 3x, right?
Yeah.
They cancel. That would be a 0x, right? I'm not going to write 0x. That'd be silly. Right? 0x. But it's there.
Okay.
You're right. They do cancel. Okay? All right, now, example 4. I'm going to bring over the 7x squared. I'm going to bring over the 16x. So when I bring them over, I'm going to subtract them, right? And I'm going to put them in standard order. Standard order, I'm going to go 4x cubed minus a 7x squared minus a 16x plus 28 equals 0. Okay? So I put them in standard form. I made sure when I brought over the 7x squared, I put it after the x cubed, and the 16x and 28. Okay? When I bring them over, subtract them. Okay? Now, 4 terms, pair them up. I'm going to put these two together and these two together, okay? So when I take a look, yeah, go ahead.
Why did you... Wait, you can just... Okay.
What do these two have in common? X squared, that's it, right? X squared. All right, take out an x squared. And I'd have then left a 4x minus 7. These two, okay, I need it to look like this. I need it to look like this. So I'm going to take out a negative 4. If I take out a negative 4, I'd have a 4x minus 7. Okay? So then, what do the two pairs have in common? What do the two pairs have in common? Yeah, 4x minus 7. And I like to cross them out too, Penelope, because then it doesn't confuse me, right? I cross them both out. I've taken them out, right? What's left over? X squared minus 4. Now, there will be 3 answers, so I'm thinking I need to factor one more time. Do you see it? Okay, do you guys see it? Riley, what am I going to do? Factor one more time?
X.
What she said.
X plus, how about x plus 2, x minus 2? You guys okay with that? And now my mini equations, I'll do it on the side for this one. I've got a 4x minus 7 equals 0. And I'll do this one first, right? I'll go plus 7, 4x equals 7. Divide by 4, and 7/4 is a good enough answer. 1 3/4, 7/4, 1.75, whatever, right? Whatever. I like 7/4 is easier. Less work. I'm done, right? This one I'm going to get an x equals a negative 2, and on this one I'm going to get an x equals a positive 2. So here are, there are 3 answers. And you know why I knew there were 3 answers originally? Because the original problem had an x cubed. Isn't that cool? Okay.
So if it didn't have x cubed and it was just x squared, it would be 2?
You're so smart. What if it's an x4th equation?
X squared.
That's algebra 2 stuff. Okay, that's algebra 2 stuff, right? Okay. All right, turn the page, but that's not that hard, is it? Right? X to the 5th. How many answers?
5.
It's that easy, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now,
It's like counting.
right. Now, example 5. If I take a look at example 5. So, in example 5, we're not grouping anymore, are we? We're not grouping, but what do you see? Do you see anything on example 5?
There's 3 answers, but
There will be 3 answers,
there's
correct?
also a 0.
So what do you see? How are we going to do this?
Would You'd have 2x cubed
2x
minus 2x equals 0.
Yeah, so let's take out a 2x. And if I take out a 2x, what's left over? Common factor out of x squared minus
Negative 2.
1. 1. Do you see the 1?
Yes,
What's 2x times 1?
2x,
Good. Now, can this one be factored again?
negative 2.
Yes.
So we're going to go 2x, we're going to go x plus 1, x minus 1. Right? Okay. That's it. There's no equals, no mini equations. There's no solve. But if we did, there would be 3 answers, Penelope. If there were, because you were saying 3 answers, I agree. If there were an equal sign, equals 0, I would solve and I would get 3 answers. But there's no equal sign, so I'm done, right? I'm done.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. Yeah, there's no equal sign, so it's just factor.
Oh, because we're not solving, we're just factoring.
Correct. Okay, how about example 6? What do you see in example 6? Okay, I heard x and I heard 6. I heard 6x. I heard from both of you the same thing, right? Let's take out an x and let's take out a 6. Okay. So if I take out a 6x, I'll have an x squared minus 4x plus 4. Can it be factored again?
Yes.
Good. So 6x. I'm going to go x minus 2x minus 2.
Yay.
If you want to get fancy, but you don't have to, if you want to be fancy pants, you could go, but you don't have to do that, okay? All right? Last but not least, this one does have an equal 0, okay? Now, how many answers? There's going to be 5 answers. But some of our answers will be what we call repeat answers, and I'll show you what I mean, okay? So what do you see first? Just factor out a 2x to the third, right? Okay. And then I'd have a x squared plus a x minus a 72, okay? Let me put a 1 here to help us, okay? Okay, look at it, think about it, because it's a hard one, right? Now, if you're not sure, you can always go 2x cubed times x squared, 2x cubed times x, 2x cubed times 72, okay? How am I doing?
8.
Can this be done again? I heard it, yes. I just heard it. Can this be factored again?
Yeah.
What are the multiples?
The smallest.
1 and 7.
What times what makes 72? Does anybody know? Come
8
on.
and 9. 8 and 9.
There you go, 8, 9. There you go, 8,
9 would
9.
be a plus.
Yep. 2x cubed, x plus 9, x minus 8 equals 0. Okay, so I've got many equations, okay? Now, I told you technically there are 5 answers, right? So, and I don't expect you to do this. I want to show all 5, though. Technically, this is 2 times x times x times x. And then x plus 9 equals 0, and x minus 8 equals 0, okay? Now, this is something we're going to learn in Algebra 2, okay? So technically, x equals 0 here. Okay, done. But really, x equals 0, then we get another x equals 0, then we get an x equals 0, okay? That's Algebra 2 stuff, but technically, you will get 3 zeros. Don't worry about it. 1 zero is enough, right?
X equals 0.
Yeah, and then x equals negative 9 here, right? And then x equals 8, okay? Now, real quick, Kai asked a good question.
Where's the other 2 answers?
There are 3 zeros here. You guys see it? 3 zeros here. Now, Kai asked a good question the other day. When we get repeat answers, now real quick, I want you to show you, okay? What we've been doing in our lessons is we've been finding these answers, right? You know what we've been doing? We've been finding these answers. So if there's a repeat answer, a double answer, it looks like this. And again, we will talk about this in the next chapter. Touches once, so a repeat answer is like this. It goes through it right here, and then back through it right here. In theory, it goes through it twice in the same spot. In theory, okay? And this is the next chapter stuff, okay? Don't worry about it yet. Okay, So, I'm done recording. Let's take a look at the homework. We got about